I'm Jeff Cornwall, and this is the Entrepreneurial Mind. Today my guests are Todd Baskett and Karl Rybacki with Hear Them Live. We'll be back to talk with them after this.
Talkopolis programming is sponsored in part by the Vein Center, now celebrating 10 years service in Nashville, Tennessee.
Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having us.
So you guys have a new venture, and you're trying to kind of get in and do a little disruption in something that's kind of an arcane business. Talk a little bit about what your business model is, and in particular, you know, from what I understand, you've really engaged your customers to help you develop this model too.
Absolutely. A couple of years ago, I had an idea and started, really connecting with some artists. And it's natural living here in Nashville, but I'm from a complete different background.
Yeah, you're not a music guy.
No, not a music guy. And I just saw a lot of redundancy in the way they were going about their careers, and with this independent explosion that will continue, and you see independent radio and looking at the labels, and really thought, man, there's one thing that as a fan of music you really like to see is live music.
Right.
And it seemed like even as a fan, the venues and the art things they were getting it wrong, and so I thought of a way to go in and find out what these problems were, and took some time to actually fund and go out with artists out on tours and outside of the state of Tennessee.
It's fun market research.
And yeah, it was great market research, and then take all of that information back and start testing some things, and in that process, by default, creating first steps of our business plan.
So are you trying to solve the problems of the artists or the fans, or kind of where do you see this sweet spot, and kind of what have you learned from either or both of those sides?
Yeah, my first initial premise was fan driven,
Okay.
and realized that's not where the issue actually lies. Right now it lies in a communication, a time management process of the talent buyers at the venues, and the multitude of artists. And
Right.
I think we've in talking to these folks, and particularly the talent buyers, getting 150, 200 emails a day.
And it is definitely a mixture of all three: the fans, the
Yes.
venues, talent buyers, and the artists.
And you do come out of the music side of things.
I do, yes,
Right,
I do.
right.
So I spent some time with the labels. I've done management, also songwriting as well. So I know a lot of artists, know a lot of venues, know a lot of the buyers at the venues.
So is it an arcane, inefficient industry, or how would you describe the problem you're trying to fix?
I would say the live music business is super inefficient actually right now, and that's what Todd, as an outsider from the business, actually saw, and he approached me randomly. Actually, we kind of met randomly through at live
I had
events.
earmarked him. As you're out doing your research, you earmark certain individuals, and Karl seemed utmost about the authenticity
Right.
of both his name, what he does within the business, and he had both a company side and some previous things that he has done, a management side, and then he's also, a songwriter. And I thought, I don't see a lot of people out there in the industry that really have contacts on all those sides.
Right, right.
So I tried to kill my own business plan, put some money into that, and I couldn't. So the next step was to get somebody like Karl and let him go kill the thing.
So what is it? Where are you at this point? I know you're still in beta, so that it still could
Right.
evolve and change.
Exactly. So where we are now, I mean, basically, I guess to kind of start with the actual problem is, I have a lot of friends that are artists, and mostly independent artists are the ones that we're really dealing with here. Not necessarily, the big artists with agents and management. There's a huge market of independent artists out there, and it's the majority of the market. And If you talk to almost any of them, the problem is that they're reaching out to venues constantly, trying to find
the booking
gigs.
process drives them nuts.
Oh, and you ask them, what is the number one problem you have, just in general, and they'll say, well, I never hear back from the venues.
Right.
They never get back to me.
Right.
Alternatively, you speak to the venues, the talent buyers that are there, and you ask them what is their major problem, and it's they don't have time to respond to all of the inquiries,
Right.
all of the calls, all of the emails. And that's where Todd came up with the idea, well, why don't we make this easier? And I mean, there are a few companies out there that are actually giving the venue information out, giving the talent buyer information out to all the artists and saying, hey, call these people. Go ahead, you can reach out to them and try and get a gig. The problem with that, it just congests everything even more. We're doing it differently. We're trying to actually, as Todd mentioned, make a time management system for the venues to actually find what they need, what they want. For instance, if I've used the example, if you're playing 12th and Porter, or you're playing
Be a small crowd if I did. Yeah.
Well, but I'd come. Todd would come. We'd be there. But if a venue needs an opener for Dr. Jeff Cornwall, they can go and say, well, I want a specific type of act. I'm not going to, I remember maybe there was a female Americana band that I wanted that'd be perfect. 2 months ago, I got an email. Where's that email? I don't know where it is.
Right.
Now we can say female Americana, type it in, find who's available, who's in the area, and we can they can just send an offer and build better bills, actually, to better shows, because they're not really scrambling to try and remember what they're looking for, basically.
Right.
They can just actually find what they want and build stronger bills and make it a lot easier and take a lot of time out of the process.
So you mentioned that you've been learning from the customers. The first thing you learned was the customer is not necessarily the fan directly. What are some other things you've learned even as you start to engage the right customer in helping to build this? So maybe some assumptions you had that you were wrong?
Oh, yeah. Man, I think our business plan has shifted quite a few, as they do. And, especially, any entrepreneur will tell you going out, if you're focused on one thing, you're probably going to fail.
Right.
You've got to be able to focus on solving a problem.
Right.
Our product is getting created from a problem from initially both the clients. Once that problem gets solved, or begins to being solved, then, in any database site, the data begins to grow.
Right.
But if you think about it from a live performance, everything grows from that booking. Once that booking hits, then that's when everybody who I say is not in the music industry, I think music industry is about those that write the songs and those that produce those songs. Everybody else kind of is up here. So
right.
If you have that live booking area, then the gamut and what we have in our 5-year plan, really we can begin making a lot of strides to simplify. Right now, just with our beta product, there's autonomous searching for the venues to reverse the booking process. So now they're going out, and I think of it on, if an artist is unavailable, they won't come up in that search.
Right.
We also made it very simple that the artists can, the artists are the ones moving.
So do you have contracts with the artists and the venues?
Nope. We'll be going to, do you want to deal with the...
Well, I mean, the contract will still be between the venue and the artist.
Yeah.
That's where
but you aren't trying to lock them in, or...
Nope, we're not doing any of that. We're not taking percentages of any of that. We're basically...
So you're doing this like as a goodwill nonprofit, or...
Well, no.
Okay,
there will be subscription-based.
So this is a tool that they have that they pay a monthly subscription to use, and the venue pays for this?
And the venue pays for the
Both sides
majority of
will.
it. Both sides will, depending on the services that the artist will receive, and we're building different
so they
services.
opt in by paying this fee.
Yeah.
It's in their best interest to use it.
That were free trial,
huge, yeah.
but if the venues are using it, it's in the best interest of the artist to use it as well. So, I mean, basically it is, as Todd mentioned before, the time management system for the venue. Their desktop, where they go in every morning and they sit at their computer or on their mobile phone or however they book, and their calendar is there. Everything is there, and it's all right in front of them, and very simple. We set out in the beginning to make it as dummy-proof as possible, really. We said, remember the first iTunes that came out? It was so intuitive. You just press play,
Right.
whatever. And that's what it is. It's not a social media site. There's no fancy pictures or graphics. It's really to get the process streamlined and make it work better.
But neither of you guys are techie guys. So how in the world you're solving a technical problem without a techie guy sitting here talking to me?
Well,
how'd you pull that off?
I think everybody's techie to a degree where, you know, keeping up with today's technology, you know, expanding from phones, mobile, desktop,
but you're not developers. You're not programmers.
Developers aside of that. We knew we were going to go third party.
Okay.
And, you know, we went and met a couple folks out there and ended up really enjoying and timing everything right with Dev Digital. And Peter and Mitch and Brittany really opened their arms, welcomed us in, and they were getting ready to launch, which I think just happened, where they spun off Calitech, and Brittany's the CEO of that. So the person we've been working hand in hand with is now the CEO of Calitech. So, and they've, you know, really taken up that music and industry side, and it's really getting a lot of push right now in the media.
So it's allowed you guys to focus on the business model while they're focusing on the implementation of the tech.
Yeah, and we get our clients to come in. So in order to bridge that gap, we actually brought them to the talent buyer. So set up meetings and have them sit down and hear the same problems, so that they could be part of that client.
Both the artist and the venue.
And then we brought artists into Dev Digital on quite a few occasions and went over things. And then we brought other talent buyers into Dev Digital. And so we really felt that, you know, these were always our clients, but to hear it from that client directly to the programmers, they could ask the questions that they needed to. You know, together then we can see what we can do, and really we haven't stumbled across anything we can't do.
So. Awesome. Well, I look forward to hearing in the near future how this is going, and thank you both for coming in today and joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.